Greetings one and all, and welcome to the Mystic Mind Analysis. I am the Nightmare Rider, Mage of Mind, reminding you as always the definite cheeseburger can be deconstructed to its original source. The 100th episode milestone of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic is finally here. A story which focuses on the day-to-day life of several characters previously relegated to the background. I generally have a preference for epic fantasy adventure stories over slice of life ones, but both types of narratives still have the most important factor to me: compelling characters. Nichijou is a perfect example of this, because it plays into my love of absurdist humour, taking the common traits of each individual character and taking it to the logical extreme in their expressions. Comedy works best when you are faced with a reaction that is unexpected, usually either an overreaction or an underreaction to the unfolding events. So what could be more unexpected than a high school headmaster body slamming a deer in the school gardens? Slice of Life works in a very similar manner to this, with the added bonus that it is already set in a fantasy world, meaning there is a lot more potential for humour. We have an everyday scenario like a wedding that has been rescheduled to the last minute, combined with something that is more extravagant, such as the main six having to fight a bugbear. The initial setup brings us our first dose of humour, which works via the principle of underreaction. This humour is more like that of Welcome to Night Vale, which is an absurd situation treated as mundane. Most citizens of Ponyville don't seem to have much of a problem with the bugbear attack. It is an inconvenient and a somewhat annoying, but it isn't anything to really worry about, especially with the main six on hand to take care of it. Derpy is the character who has the biggest clarification since her first speaking appearance. We already have an impression of Derpy as well-meaning in spite of her clumsiness, but now we get to see a full canon display of her thought processes. She is some pony who is fairly creative in the solutions to common tasks she is asked to aid with, but doesn't always entirely think things through. This combined with her low attention span and wide smile helps us to empathise with her situation, putting in all the effort she can to get things right, even if things don't go exactly according to plan. Derpy and Dr. Hooves, like most of the characters in the episode, play around with contrasting personalities in a straight man funny man role. This is similar to how Pinky and Maud's relationship is portrayed, just in a more subtle manner. Derpy doesn't take a lot of time to think about the situations and is easily distracted by all of Doc's shiny things, while Doc himself is an eccentric and logical scientist who overthinks almost every situation. This is further portrayed with the Big Lebowski ponies, as the Stone Attitudes switch the roles, where they are the grounding force to Doc overcomplicating a scenario, presenting a more direct and literal method of thinking. Probably the best representation of this character contrast is Vinyl and Octavia. Both are musicians who have very different styles to one another, classical and dubstep respectively. One is posh and well spoken, while the other is very casual and quiet. These two may seem like polar opposites to one another, but the fact is they can find harmony with each other very easily. As people like Lindsey Stirling have shown, as do many metal bands, many musical genres can complement each other when the right factors are considered, such as melody, rhythm, and tempo. Vinyl's beats are initially a clash with Octavia's tempo, but when the two get their styles in line with each other, they can match the intensity and melody with pitch perfection. While this episode is without a doubt a lot of fun, it's just not without its flaws, mainly the pacing of the plot. Unlike The Simpsons' 22 short films about Springfield, all of the stories in Slice of Life are connected together with a changed at the last minute wedding between Matilda and Cranky that has been rushed into the setting up earlier than expected. Due to this, the amount of characters that are introduced overly extends the first act, giving little solutions of the problem to be offered. Because of this, the entirety of Act 2 is summed up in a single transitional scene, using the climax to put everything into place at the same time. As funny as this is, it means we are lucked out in getting more time to see Bon Bon, aka Special Agent Sweetie Drop, in action, as well as the minimal interaction between Vinyl and Octavia. Due to this, their conflicts don't really correlate to the wedding and are resolved very quickly, which could have easily given a greater potential for comedy and actual progression of the story. We could have easily seen the characters cross over into each of the stories and add a more comedic conflict, finding potential solutions that don't quite fit the climactic resolution. When you have a clear narrative that all stories are intended to centre around, the importance of the conflict is robbed due to the pacing becoming exceptionally uneven. However, with all that said, these are minor nitpicks when compared to just how funny the whole episode is. As the mysterious Mr. Enter said in his first impressions journal, the entire episode can be seen as a parody of fan pandering. The writers do not just copy and paste what they see in the fanfics. Instead, they use the base ideas and go all out with their use of whatever ridiculous scenario they can think of that fits with both the character chemistry and the context of the world. There are several instances of lampshading when M.A. Larson writes in thoughtful nods to the absurdity of the references, such as the Lebowski ponies using the phrase man despite the word being meaningless in Equestria. There are so many continuity callbacks that build on what we have seen so far. It shows how much love and devotion that all the writers have for the crafting this elaborate world. Stephen Magnet donating a piece of his mustache to Cranky, just as Rarity did in episode 2, as well as Maya Maya's speech, all sums up why Ponyville is a special place in Equestria. It's a town where ponies from all walks of life can come together and find their own unique friendships through their individual stories. Overall, Slice of Life is the funniest episode of both Season 5 and MLP in general. M.A. Larson is a mastercraft of characterization, all of which puts a vibrant face on the everyday misadventures of Ponyville citizens, showing how much of a living, breathing world Equestria is, even without the main six's involvement. Although it was a bit haphazard with its pacing, making a climax feel rushed instead of developing the stories to a full potential, the fact that the worst I can say about this episode is that they could have squeezed in a few more jokes in an already comedic episode that literally jumps the shark. I couldn't have asked for a more perfect way to celebrate 100 episodes of Friendship is Magic. I give Slice of Life a final grade of an S. This is one of the few episodes that reaches closest to perfection. Until the next time, this is the Nightmare Rider, Major Mind, riding out.
What is life? Is it nothing more than the endless search for a cutie mark? And what is a cutie mark but a constant reminder that we're all only one bugbear attack away from oblivion? And what of the poor gator, flank forever blank, destined to an existential swim down the river of life to an unknowable destiny?